Phil did have an exploit for the trophies in Jak 2, so I am now the proud owner of a Jak 2 Platinum trophy.
Oh, so you got to do the first one too.
Just despite my feelings upon it.
You're gonna do the first one, right?
I might.
Oh, really?
It might be one that like sits there for a while, and then I'll be like, all right, fuck it. Like I got nothing else to do. Let me knock it out real quick.
You didn't hate that game, did you?
No, I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay. It was fine.
It wasn't your hatred for 2. Like, that was different.
2 sucks. 2 is a bad game. But Connor,
The Metacritic scores didn't say that.
the Metacritic scores are lower than the first game.
Oh, really?
Anyways, Connor, people can find out how I feel about Jak 2 all in all here in a few weeks as we have After the Hype reviews. But until then, what's poppin', players? Welcome back to the 2 Penny Gamescast. I'm your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host, Connor Elliott. Say hello to the people, Connor.
Hello.
And, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, oh, that went in the wrong spot. I'm trying to take my time codes, and they didn't go in the right spot for some reason. There we go. All right, much better. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this show, every week, me and Connor come to you and give you the new news in the video game industry that you need to know. We each come to you with 2 topics, 2 pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. Excuse me. Ooh. I'm drinking a milkshake, so my throat is a little tight with the sugar.
And I'm eating tater tots, so I'm trying to avoid crunch. Because these are nice and fresh.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, you can get the show every Monday morning, 8 a.m. Central Time. We haven't missed a week yet. 68 episodes in. And on youtube.com/2pennygamescast or mainstream podcast services of your choice, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts. We're out here. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us a share. We would really, really appreciate it. It would mean a lot. You can go and catch our After the Hype review of Until Dawn. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you might be asking yourselves, Tavin, what is After the Hype? Well, After the Hype is a review show we do for games that we play on Hype. HYEP, Have You Ever Played? A show we do at twitch.tv/2pennygames every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Central Time. It's me, my buddy Phil. We sit down and we show each other a game that the other one has never played before, and we play it live right there in front of you. Go follow for that. You can also catch some edited down versions of the streams over on the YouTube channels. Until Dawn is up there. Resident Evil 2... I'll put it up there eventually, probably. Maybe. Who knows? So you can watch all of that in full, all the scares, all the jumps, all the good times, all the good conversations that we were having back and forth, and all that good stuff. But, for now, Connor, let's drop some sense on him. Let's jump into your first penny here, Connor.
Mm-hmm.
Something kind of cool. Well, not cool.
Not surprising, even. More like...
Big. That's the big. It's impactful here. Fortnite to shut down in China as Beijing intensifies video game crackdown. This is your first penny. We're pulling a CNBC article by Ryan Brown. Fortnite is calling it quits in China. The wildly popular Battle Royale game developed by Epic Games will shut down its local Chinese version on November 15th, according to an update on its website. Users were prevented from registering for new accounts starting November 1st. Epic didn't provide a specific reason for why it was shutting down Fortnite in China. Fortress Knight, the Chinese version of the game, was launched in 2018 through a partnership with publisher Tencent. The Shenzhen-based tech giant is a significant investor in Epic, owning a 40% stake in the firm. The game technically never had a full launch in China. Instead, it was playable in a test mode, excluding some features from the main version like in-app purchases. Quote, the Battle Royale genre has been strictly regulated in China. Daniel Ahmad, senior analyst at Nico Partners, tweeted, quote, the domestic games that are approved there have heavy content changes. China is known for its tight grip over the video game sector. Games need to go through a strict approval process before rolling out in the country, with Western titles often required to be heavily censored. Earlier this year, Beijing introduced even more stringent controls over gaming, with the government limiting the time under 18s can play online to just 3 hours per week. Epic Games is the latest U.S. company to bow out of China recently as the country embarks on a fierce regulatory crackdown on its tech center. So that's we're gonna leave it there with the article. But this This is a tough sign right here. Biggest game in the world, saying, "Hey man, we just can't. No, we're not doing it over there." Mm-hmm. Like that sucks. In arguably the largest market in the world. Obviously, Fortnite being a free to play game, not having its in-app purchases is critical. You're basically just throwing money into an inferno at that point. Mm-hmm. So it's unfortunate that gamers over there are just not able to play anymore. But also, I'm more interested in the fact that with Tencent having such a large stake in Epic, that they're even doing this at all, and that they're not committing to the Chinese audience in any significant way here. In fact, just the opposite.
You wouldn't think a large company like Tencent would be brought down, but of course when you're dealing with something like the Chinese government and all of their regulations with video games recently, not having effeminate men in your video games no more, not being able to, play for many hours, it's not all surprising, but it is unfortunate, and as many things are that go on over in places like China, very little we can do, because Fortnite's still majorly big over here. That's not going to change anytime soon.
Nope.
But over in China, unless they were to ease up on those regulations, I don't see that coming back in the future at all.
Not Fortnite fighting this two-front war with Apple and China.
Heavy as the head.
Good luck to you. Heavy as the head.
You made one of the biggest video games of all modern time, and you're going to have to face some troubles with it.
Speaking of facing troubles, Connor, let's move on to my first penny of the day.
More like causing troubles.
You're telling me, dude. Square Enix claims Crystal Dynamics was the wrong fit for disappointing Marvel's Avenger. Pulling a Video Games Chronicle article by Tom Ivan. Addressing shareholders in a statement published in the company's annual report, President Yosuke Matsuda said Square Enix needed to learn from the game's disappointing performance. Notably, he highlighted the importance of matching development studios with game designs that best suit their skill sets and interests. Avengers developer Crystal Dynamics is best known as the studio behind the single-player Tomb Raider series of games, and its next project is a collaboration with Xbox Game Studios on Perfect Dark. Quote, Marvel's Avengers was an ambitious title for us in that we took on the GAAS, Games as a Service model, Matsuda said. We overcame a variety of unexpected difficulties in the final phase of the game's development, including needing to transition to work from home due to the pandemic. We were able to surmount these challenges and release the game, but it has unfortunately not proven as successful as we would have liked. Nonetheless, taking on the Games as a Service model highlighted issues that we are likely to face in the future game development efforts, such as the need to select game designs that mesh with the unique attributes and tastes of our studios and development teams. While the new challenge that we tackled with this title produced a disappointing outcome, we are certain that the Games as a Service approach will grow in importance as gaming becomes more service-oriented. How we go about creating new experiences by incorporating this trend into our game design is a key question that we will need to answer going forward. In a 2019 interview with GamesBeat, Matsuda explained why he thought Crystal Dynamics was well suited to Marvel's Avengers. Quote, Crystal has always been a company that has made games in the action-adventure space, he said. In that sense, I thought that it would be a good fit in terms of making a game with Marvel using the Avengers, which would naturally be an action-based game. Marvel's Avengers performance suffered partly due to technical problems present at launch. In addition to these issues, a lack of post-launch content, including delays to planned expansions and next-gen versions of the game, contributed to a dwindling player count. Despite continued efforts to improve the game's fortunes, Marvel's Avengers is still suffering from major issues. On Tuesday, Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics removed paid XP boosts from the game following a backlash from fans over their introduction. The ability to buy XP and resource collecting boosts with real money was controversially added to the game in October. The move angered fans who said its developer and publisher had gone back on promises that paid microtransactions would only ever apply to cosmetic items. It was announced in September that Xbox had signed the Square Enix studio to co-develop Perfect Dark, which is the debut title from its new in-house studio, The Initiative. Former Crystal Dynamics studio head Daryl Gallagher now holds the same position at The Initiative, while the person in charge of the Perfect Dark project, game director Daniel Newberger, was also previously game director on the Tomb Raider series. So basically, Square Enix got the wrong message here.
Yes.
This is how it reads to me, at least.
No. We know that they were debating about whether they were going to do a games as service model with Marvel Avengers, or if they were going to go the action route, purely action adventure story based route. We never really knew what they were doing. It seems like they were confused for a long while.
Connor, no. If you remember, everyone was assuming it was going to be your action adventure game like your Tomb Raiders, but with Marvel's Avengers, which makes sense. It wasn't until they had that big premiere at E3 where that mixed messaging came in, and they started talking about games as a service mechanics and systems that didn't mesh with what the preconceived notion of what the public thought this game was going to be.
So, to my knowledge, they didn't say beforehand that it was going to be an action story-based game. They just left out the games as service.
All we had was an announcement trailer.
Okay.
And all we knew was Avengers and Crystal Dynamics. And we all went, cool, Tomb Raider's great. You know? So now, you know, several years later, we're looking back and we go, okay, yeah, we made some... There were some executive decisions made in this game that did not pan out in the way that anybody had hoped. I just don't think it's fair to be like, well, we wanted... As a Square Enix head, I go, okay, games as a service, it's the new hotness, it's making everybody a bunch of money. Well, it's making some people a bunch of money.
Yeah.
We have this IP with Marvel. We're in collaboration with Marvel. They want to do something. We want to do an Avengers game. Let's see if we can combine these two ideas. On paper, that makes sense. You know, when you think about it. Multiple heroes, different classes, different suits and abilities and powers, easy upgrade trees, easy little tiny building of gear and stuff. All of this like makes sense on paper. To where this formula really should work. I agree, this game design does not match Crystal Dynamics' style, and I think that shows, but if you're gonna put you as the executive should be smarter in that sense and be like, okay, we want to do this, and then it's clear, like, I remember articles going around of, like, in development, Crystal Dynamics was trying to do what they do best, and getting pushback from Square Enix. They have this line... Where was it? There was a line in this article about... Oh, there was a line about the pandemic affecting development of this game, which is true, but this game was in super trouble development from the jump because you just made the wrong choice. If one of your most talented studios is out here trying to make what the type of game that they're best at making, let them make that game. Like, don't force them into and pigeonhole them into a type of experience that they are not equipped to handle, and then expect monumental success from them. You know, it's like forcing a baker to try and cook like 5-star steak. Like, they're just not gonna get it out the gate first try. They're just not. And the continued like issues of we also just this week got news of Spider-Man's release date finally. The War for Wakanda expansion didn't seem to light the world on fire and bring people back like they were probably hoping in that sort of Destiny Taken King way. Mm-hmm. There's still a litany of bugs and stuff in the game. There's still many quality of life factors that are getting there but aren't there currently. And I just think overall, like, Square Enix, Crystal Dynamics didn't fumble the ball with Avengers. You fumbled the ball with Crystal Dynamics. Like, you should have managed this studio better and, you know, paved the way for them to have success. That's what leadership is. That's what, when you're in charge, it's what you're meant to do. The Avengers absolutely would have been a super successful game if you would just let Crystal Dynamics do their thing. Or if you had given it to a different studio in order to make the type of game that you wanted. There's a reason Xbox is partnering with Crystal Dynamics to make Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark's going to be an action-adventure game, dude. And we've got the action-adventure heads of the Tomb Raider games that made those games so popular working on Perfect Dark. And now, you know, in conjunction with what's left of Crystal Dynamics. Like, It's not rocket science.
Well, you can't expect them to take responsibility for causing this problem in the first place.
I can't?
They're probably not. I mean, they clearly didn't learn any lesson. They said, okay, well, obviously Crystal Dynamics were the ones that messed up. Not that we did, they did. So I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't really work with Crystal Dynamics in the future, knowing that they believe them to have screwed this game over.
But
oh, it is their studio?
It's their studio.
Oh, God.
I don't know where. Yeah, no, come on now. No, I don't know, man. Like, and then what's funny is I read the bit about the XP, the paid XP boosts, because I saw several tweets on Twitter of like, yo, okay, cool, they removed the paid XP boosts, that's one thing, but they increased the XP grind in order to account for the XP boosts. So they took the boosts out, but the grind is still there. So now it's even harder than it used to be before any of this. Which is just like, I think just a perfect show of like, nobody knew what this game was going in. Nobody knew what type of game anybody was making, and it's really just a failureship of leadership from the jump.
It's pretty much a dead game at this point. I don't see it.
I don't see it coming back.
No,
not in any meaningful way, which is unfortunate because there were good things about it. I'm gonna wave that flag till the day I die. There were good things about Avengers,
but it sounds like they never really pushed those parts of the game.
It was not a bad game, not at all. It was a bad game. Wasn't a great game. Arguably wasn't even a good game, but it was not bad. Like, and it was worth playing. $60, maybe not, but you know, definitely it was worth somebody's time. And there are still people playing it. There were people who go out and do your dailies and your weeklies and stuff, and you know, treat it as a games and service game. I would personally say it was more successful than Anthem was.
Yeah, not a high bar to reach, but
it's still more successful than Fallout 76.
Yeah,
I would argue, but
well, Fallout 76 was a bad game out the gate, while this one was an iffy game,
a broken game. Mm-hmm. And then you know, it's also the fact of like the superheroes carrying the brand a little bit, because the brand of Avengers is huge, no doubt. So there's I'm sure there's a bunch of kids out there who are out there playing Avengers every day because they love flying around as Iron Man. They love, you know, running around Captain America. They enjoy Black Panther. They like Thor, you know, Hulk, all these things. They like doing these things. And Avengers does give you that power fantasy of like, you do feel like those individual heroes. The problem is everything around it.
I would have loved that game if I was a kid. I would have gone over to it again and again and again.
I would have adored it.
Yeah, it would have been great. So, you know, good. At least it would satisfy that audience, but unfortunately not enough of one to actually keep it going.
Exactly. And Connor, speaking of poor leadership, let's move on to our third topic, my second penny of the day. Not the most important story at all that happened this week. There's, you know, Midnight Suns got delayed. There's a couple other joints that were going around that you know, were probably more important than this one. But I like this story, and I want to touch on it, especially right off the back of the last Marvel Studios game that we just talked about. Spider-Man's final boss battle was improved by desire to avoid crunch, Insomniac CEO says. This is an IGN article by Samantha Nelson. Insomniac Games' spectacular 2018 game Spider-Man. See what she did there with the spectacular? Mm-hmm. She knows a thing or two about nerd shit. Was originally meant to end with the hero and Dr. Octopus fighting all across New York City. Insomniac CEO Ted Price revealed the original boss fight plans at last week's Develop Brighton conference per GamesIndustry.biz, but the scope of the finale the studio envisioned couldn't be realized without resorting to crunch, which would clash with the company's goals of increasing employee well-being and reducing burnout. Quote, "The temptation is to just brute force it, put our heads down and run through the brick wall," Price said. But the team took a step back and thought about what was important to the players, and that was the breakdown of the relationship between Peter and his former mentor, Dr. Octavius. The fight was ultimately a 1-versus-1 battle between Spider-Man and Doc Ock atop a Manhattan building. The team scaled back its ambition. I believe, is it not on top of Oscorp? I thought it was on top of Oscorp, but I could be wrong.
Tall building.
Huh?
Tall building.
Tall building. It's on top of a tall building, guys. The team scaled back its ambition, and Price said the decision didn't just help the developers, but improved the game itself. Quote, "They rethought the fight and realized they didn't need to destroy half of New York to pay off the relationship," Price said. "In fact, it would have worked against what we were going for. As a result, the final battle is much more up close and personal and has a far bigger emotional impact than planned. And it fit within the time we had." Price urged other developers to seriously consider what players want and how they can deliver the best experience with the resources they have, rather than pushing employees to their limits. Quote, "In the stress of hectic production, we often feel we can't take our foot off the gas pedal. But that's often what it takes," he said. "The team needs to have permission to pause and come up with a better way, instead of bulldozing through the problem and causing potential health problems." Insomniac is currently working on Marvel's Spider-Man 2, which the team says will be darker than the last two Spider-Man games, including Spider-Man Miles Morales. Furthermore, Insomniac is also working on a Wolverine game to add to its Marvel bona fide. So, yeah, straight off the story of Square Enix fumbling Crystal Dynamics with the Avengers project, Insomniac continues to prove why they're one of the best studios in the business. Crunch been a long-term conversation in the industry and on this show. I think it's... I think Ted Price nails it on the head here. Like, the fight, in terms of, in the context of the game itself, the fight did not need to be this big, extravagant, destroy half of the city, everyone's, dying, buildings are falling apart, and things are going crazy. It doesn't need to be that, and it shouldn't have been that, despite what the superhero, tropes would have you lean towards, and how many superhero movies are you're at the end of and you go, man, stakes are really big for a first time outing, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think in terms of stakes, in terms of personal connection and character, in character impact, I think they nailed all of that across the board. I personally didn't love the Dr. Octopus fight. I thought it was fine.
It wasn't bad.
No. It was a good fight.
I didn't sit there and think they could have done this a lot better. It was more just that was a boss fight.
Yeah, it was more, but what Price says is what stands out, is the connection of the characters, is the payoff of the story, is that fantastic, final performance with those two characters when they're just yelling at each other and they can't get past their differences. You feel it, and it all plays out in gameplay as well. It's important, he's got the quote about, hey man, you gotta know what your audience wants.
Yeah.
You gotta know what they're looking for. You gotta know what project you're working on. If you don't know that, then you're gonna fumble the ball. And, when you run up against issues in this industry, the tendency is to just bulldoze it, pull long nights, have everybody work weekends, have everybody work holidays, not see their families, do 80-hour weeks. But if you just stop, say, hey man, everybody go home. Maybe think about it over the weekend, but go spend some time with families. Go relax. Innovation will come.
Yes.
When
you're crafting any kind of story, it really is good to take a break and just have your mind go all over the place. I mean, even in some places like the shower, they can actually start thinking of different ways they can make the game better rather than just say everyone's doing those long hours, which unfortunately is the mentality that the video game industry largely has. And we're seeing a slighter shift towards that. We obviously have reports coming out all the time of crunch going on.
Yep.
Cyberpunk being one of the big ones recently. Gearbox with Borderlands 3.
Naughty Dog with Last of Us Part 2.
Naughty Dog with Last of Us Part 2. But thankfully we have groups like Insomniac, which even though they're making, they made, what was the recent thing they did? They did Miles Morales, but what was the Ratchet and Clank game? Mm-hmm. They did, they're making the next Spider-Man game, they're making the Wolverine game, and despite all that, they're still having the mentality of just take things bit by bit. Don't have to rush and make people work more than they should. And
their track record speaks for themselves.
Yeah.
They're making an effort to, make their workplace as best as it can be, and look, the product is coming out fantastic. And several of these games are some of the greatest games ever made. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to argue with the theory. There's always the argument of, okay, yeah, not crunching works on the smaller level with indie games. You got your Bothel games, and you got your fucking
Hades developer,
Housemarque, now you've brought it up, and now I can't remember. The Hades guys. Yeah. These are all great examples, but once you get to that AAA stage, well, then crunch is a little more necessary. Insomniac is proving you fucking wrong. They're one of the biggest studios in the world. They're one of the longest-lasting studios in the world, reaching back all the way to the PlayStation 1.
Supergiant.
Supergiant, thank
Yeah.
you. Reaching back all the way to the PlayStation 1, and they've developed some of the most impactful games of all time, whether it be Ratchet and Clank, whether it be, I guess Ratchet and Clank, whether it be Spider-Man now. But, still great games with Resistance. And, what did they do were they Spyro? They were Spyro, it's clear to me that Insomniac knows what they're doing and that they're a studio to be trusted. And let's just hope that they keep that up and, continue with this kind of ethos of if you burn your team out, your game's gonna just suffer. That's just it.
And CEOs being transparent in this way, hopefully the best case scenario that it causes is other developers look at that and say, oh, well, Spider-Man was one of the biggest selling games of 2018.
Dude, it was huge.
Massively popular. Yeah, and they didn't have to crunch.
Not only the biggest selling games of 2018, it was one of the biggest games of the PlayStation 4 generation, which was the biggest PlayStation generation to date. It's one of the biggest games of all time, and I think it's only going to reflect. And Miles Morales is also doing phenomenally well when you consider that it was a $50 game, split up, $40 game if you bought it on the PlayStation 4 as a PlayStation 5 launch title. So you had, a group of people saying, I'll just wait till I get a PlayStation 5 when they couldn't get a PlayStation 5. It's a spin-off game instead of a numbered title like Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, everyone went and played it. I see more gaming montages of Miles Morales than I do of the 2018 game.
Yeah.
With, look at these cool tricks I do. There's a trend on TikTok in which there's little tricks you can do in the air while you're web swinging. And one of them for Miles is he pulls out his phone and he starts texting. He's a little teenage kid or whatever. That's what he would do.
Yeah.
So it's that matched with somebody pulling up their Spotify playlist and picking their favorite song and hitting play, and then before they hit the ground, they hit the swing and they go.
Mm-hmm.
It's cute. It's not something you can actually do in the game, but it's a cute edit, and it looks cool and it plays cool, and it leads to just this culture built around these games. People love these games, and their continued effort to just, hey, let's make the best games we can, but let's not fucking kill ourselves to do it. It's exactly what this industry needs.
Mm-hmm.
Connor.
Yep.
Speaking of exactly what this industry needs.
Oh, yeah.
I guess.
We need it.
Let's move on to our final topic and your second penny of the day. Devil May Cry, the animated series story, will be told over multiple seasons, stars Dante and Virgil. Another IGN article by Daniel Robinson. Adi Shankar, the producer behind Netflix's acclaimed Castlevania series and the recently announced Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon remix, has revealed some more details about his upcoming anime series based on Capcom's Devil May Cry franchise. Quote, the season 1 scripts are done, Shankar told IGN Japan in a new interview. They are rad. I could not be more excited. The scripts have been written in collaboration with Alex Larson, who wrote the screenplay for the feature film Bodied, and who has more recently written on the Netflix anime series Yasuka. Do you know this one?
Yasuke.
Yasuke?
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
Yasuke, I would guess.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So you don't know this?
No.
All right. Shankar explained that season 1 will include 8 episodes, but the story will not conclude there. Just as with Castlevania, he is planning a multi-season arc, meaning that it will unfold over multiple connected seasons. While Shankar would not reveal specific story details, he confirmed that several DMC franchise favorite characters will appear. Quote, I can confirm that Virgil is in it, as well as Lady, and of course Dante as well. I can also confirm that Chris Pratt won't be voicing any of the characters, Shankar joked. Pratt has recently been cast as the lead in high-profile animated movies based on both Super Mario and Garfield. Shankar commented that working with Capcom on this project has been a dream. Quote, the entire team, both from the management side and the creative side, have been so incredibly supportive and gracious, he said. He has been working directly with
Hiroyuki Kobayashi.
Thank you. A veteran producer at Capcom who has worked on the original DMC and Resident Evil games, as well as 2007's DMC Devil May Cry, the animated series. What is this? This is a thing?
It's an animated series that was not the... Obviously, some fans liked it, but generally it wasn't very marketable to average anime watchers
not
who weren't familiar with Devil May Cry.
Produced by Japanese animation studios Madhouse. Kobayashi-san has been wonderful, said Shankar. It's seriously a joy to work with Capcom. Their character library is unlike anything assembled. Cool. Listen, you and I, we liked Castlevania. We didn't love the last season, but it was okay.
Yeah, it was okay. People
online really liked it. I was shocked how much they liked it. I thought we were going to be like, guys, it wasn't that bad. Like, and then everyone was like, it was great. And I was like,
guess we're the minority.
I'm the dissenting opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
People loved that twist. You know,
that twist at the end where I said this is dumb?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. But yeah, no, Castlevania season 1 and season 2, was there 4 seasons?
Because there was
that first season that was only like 4 episodes, and they did.
There were
season
4
2,
seasons,
which was way better. And then there was season 3, which was a little more toned down. Yeah, no, seasons 1 through 3, fucking adored. Season 4 was fine.
Mm-hmm. It's a good track record.
Yeah, that's a good track. Hey, man, I'm more than excited for Devil May Cry to pop up. When I think Devil May Cry, I think fun, action, crazy things, dope one-liners, and super charismatic characters. All of that showed in the Castlevania series.
Yes,
so
it
was dope action, it was charismatic characters, and I don't remember like too many dope one-liners, but you just beef up that part of your writing team, and then there you go.
Right. I mean, using the baseline of Castlevania characters and how great they were to watch on screen, with characters that I personally love, and I know a lot of other people do, like Virgil, Lady, and Dante. I'm really excited for this to be put to the screen. Now, as to what they will be doing with this...
As someone who's only played 5, which one was Virgil?
Virgil's the guy with the katana, the final boss. The brother of Dante. He's got the short hair.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Virgil.
Who was the dude I liked to play as?
That was Nero.
Nero.
Virgil's son.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
I liked playing as him. He was fun.
I know you did, yeah. You can play as Virgil in the Ultimate Edition. It seems like if we're just looking at what Devil May Cry has done in the past, it seems the one they would be adapting, if they were going to be adapting a straight game, would be Devil May Cry 3, because they have Dante and Virgil, who surprisingly aren't in games as much as you would think they'd be together. 3 was the big one, which is what they might be doing, especially because they have Lady, which was the first game that she appeared in. So it could be an adaptation of that, or they could obviously just be using their own characters.
Castlevania wasn't an adaptation. It was an addition to the already existing universe.
It was.
So, we could get that, or we could get a reimagining of DMC stories. I mean, the story of DMC, though I'm sure fans love it, isn't like the draw of the game, So I imagine they'll be like, we're going to have the beats, but we're going to change a few things to make it more narratively engaging for a different medium that is more focused on your narrative.
And it is important to note there, if they wanted to do the whole thing where they are putting it into the universe of Devil May Cry, there is a lot of blank spaces in the timeline of where characters appear. So
there you go.
There's room really for whatever they want to do. Because it's only going to be an anime. It doesn't have to tie back into the games or the lore or whatever. It could just be its own thing.
I still hold true to the theory that they're going to somehow connect all these series.
That makes sense. That really does make sense.
With the way Castlevania kind of built itself out in very weird and interesting ways, I fully believe that we're gonna get something like that in Devil May Cry. So that will be exciting. Can't wait to see that. Do we have any? We don't have any type of dates or anything or even a year, do we?
No, but I don't know if you got to this part.
I cut it early because I didn't think it was necessary. The Blood Dragons stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody cares about.
One thing it does say in the article is that it says Shankar's own bootleg universe has a mixed variety of renowned franchises with and without permission, as his personal sandbox multiverse. And when he first announced his DMC series, he said they would be part of bootleg multiverse, but gave no further details. Apparently, he's working on a PUBG show that's not going to be a part of that, but he did say there's a bootleg multiverse, whatever that means.
I remember the headlines for the PUBG show. All right, and then the article ends, Devil May Cry will reportedly go into production early 2022. No release date yet.
Yeah.
So, we're going to be waiting for a while. But it's cool, it's exciting.
Yeah, it's nice to hear an update, because it's been a good while.
It's been a minute, but, and I think this is the one that people are more looking forward to as opposed to, your Blood Dragons or, whatever else is going on. So I think DMC is going to be their next big animated series.
I can see it coming out in October or something like that of next year.
If it enters production next year?
It could be. I don't know yeah, it's entering production.
That's a 23 show at best.
Never mind. Yeah, I've never seen that.
And that's gonna be it for the news. Connor, please God, tell me you've been better this last week than we've been in the last couple of weeks.
Well,
yeah,
you're gonna hate this.
Yeah,
not for the reason you think it is, because I did play a game.
Okay.
You're not even gonna hate it for the reason you now think it's going to be of me playing an old game. I was playing more Tales of Arise. Still haven't finished it.
Okay. How are you not finished this fucking game?
That's the reaction I was expecting. The game goes on longer than I thought it would. I thought I was right near the end, and then it pulls like there's more to the story, and I'm like, oh, I'm not done yet. And then it gives you a bunch of side content. Now, I'm not going to go back to this game after I finish it, for a while, if at all. So I'm going to get everything done. So upon seeing how much stuff I can do on the side, again, when I got to the point where I already thought I was going to be done with the game soon, I went up.
How many hours have you put in this game?
59, almost reached 60, which is strange because it was like I had seen online it was like 40 hours for just playing the game. I was like, okay, I'll get done around then, and I was around that time when I thought the game was going to end. But then I looked later, and the completionist router, we're doing a lot of the side quests, boosted it up to like 57 hours. And I'm playing on hard, so I kind of realized why I've been taking it so much more slower than I thought I would be.
That Japanese game thing where when you pause the game, it doesn't pause the game counter?
I think most of the time I've turned off my PS4 whenever I'm not playing it. I haven't really left it on pause for long periods of time, so I don't really know if it's calculating that. Pretty sure that is just raw gameplay, because, well, maybe not, actually. Maybe I left it on once for like an hour or two, and that factors into it, but despite that, it is still going on longer than I thought. Don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing yet, because there were story beats that needed to be covered, but it might be just info dumping a lot of stuff on me pretty soon, or at least it feels like that might be happening. So, hopefully next week I'll be able to finish the game, because I actually still am, I believe, close to the ending. So maybe I'll have better news next week.
You've been saying that for over
I know.
month.
That's what I'm saying, and now I'm saying it again.
Anyways, I've finally picked up my fucking Switch and toyed around with some more Metroid Dread.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't make a lot of progress, but I got through a couple of mini bosses and a boss fight and stuff, so that's all nice and cool. And I've got new areas, new equipment, all that. Metroid Dread still continues to be a blast. Still a lot of fun to play. There's this one mini boss that frustrates me to no end that I was stuck on for a little bit, but I just beat it right before you pulled up here to record the show, so I'm just happy to be past that part. But mostly, we've just been playing games on our live show, Hype. Have you ever played? Twitch.tv/2pennygames. You'll notice this next week, this next week, we should, if I can get the editing done, we should be going live with our Resident Evil 2 after the Hype review. Phil played it for the first time, and we had a nice little chat about it. And then the week after that, ideally, fingers crossed, will be my Jak 2 review, in which you can hear all my opinions about Jak 2 and how it's aged and its level of quality. And, from the perspective of someone who's never played it before and is playing it 20 years later. And then, of course, Phil also just finished playing God of War 3. So in the subsequent weeks, God of War 3 after the Hype will be coming. This next week, I believe, over at twitch.tv/2pennygames at Tuesday, 1 p.m., we're jumping into Jak 3. Woo! I'm so excited.
Phil has said you would like this one more.
Yeah, that's what he says. And he even was like, I don't know if he said it in the review or if he said it to me in private, but he was like, listen, man, like, I like Jak 2 because of nostalgic reasons. Like, and, I still have fun with it, but I understand it's got a lot of issues. And he's like, but I genuinely think Jak 3 is a good game. There is a subsect of the internet that is like, man, I would love a return of Jak and Daxter in some way, shape, and form. And as a new-time player, I haven't seen any reason for this series to ever come back in any meaningful way, and especially not from Naughty Dog. They do way better and more innovative and interesting things now than they ever did with Jak and Daxter. Just feels like a cheap knockoff of Ratchet and Clank. But hopefully, my point is, let's go in with an open mind. Jak 3, we'll try our best to see what the hype is about. See how we feel about the series as a whole once we dive into that. So please come check us out as we do that this next Tuesday. if you were paying attention to the Twitch channel, you also noticed I did just some solo streaming. Did some Metal Gear Solid 3 streaming. Just for shits and giggles, wanted to hop in.
I saw that. I popped up, and I was like, why are you playing that?
Because I'm a fucking nerd, Connor, and I like that game. Anyways, yeah, I played it for about 3 hours. I'm currently in the process of editing all that footage down into a fun little, hopefully less than 30-minute video.
Light editing session.
That's pretty heavy editing. Anyway, it's a lot to cut. Anyways, but, keep an eye out for that. It should be coming, hopefully, here in the next week or so, if I can find the fucking time. Because this week is a tight schedule amongst a litany of tight scheduled weeks, so we'll figure out how all that works. But that is gonna do it for this episode of the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 68. Good job with the silent sneezes.
I'm good at them.
He just did it looked very heavy silent sneezes. I can't do that.
I had to catch a breath for a second.
I'm very loud with my sneezes. That was impressive. Anyways. Ladies and gentlemen, remember you can catch us every Monday at 8 a.m. youtube.com/2pennygamescast alongside mainstream podcast services of your choice, the Spotifys, the SoundClouds, the Google Podcasts, the Apple Podcasts. Give us a like, give us a follow.
The best sites.
Rate us, all that fun stuff. Share it with a friend. You got a friend who's like, yo, I like video games. I like to know about the news in the video games. Send it to them. Be like, hey man, check this out. See if you like it. We would really appreciate it. But until next time, thank you so much for listening. And until next week, have a great week. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Peace out.